The next question is an internet question. I'm going to pose this to all three of the parties. We've heard that both the Liberals, NDP, and the Green Party have all said that they will support the CBC. As a television producer and as someone who is in the media, the CBC is very important for us as a nation, not only as a community, but as a nation, to be able to make sure that we can protect our identity, that we can produce, that we can employ, and we can create things that are Canadian by us and for us. Our neighbor to the south has great influence on us, both from movies and television. The CBC is a very important aspect of our culture. Some would say that it's a very expensive aspect of our culture. So we have to weigh that question. I'd like each of you to comment on where is your position with the CBC, budget-wise, and what your feeling is as the importance of the CBC to us as a country. And if I may, I'd like to start with the Liberals, please.
Thank you for your question. Let me unequivocally say that the Liberal Party will reverse the $170 million cuts that the Conservative Party has done to the CBC over the last 10 years. We cannot emphasize enough that CBC and Canadian broadcasting is important to our cultural identity. It is who we are. We are Canadian, and we're proud to be Canadian. And I would call upon all parties, actually, that this isn't a political issue. It's not a Conservative issue or an NDP issue or a Green Party issue or a Liberal Party issue. It is a Canadian issue, and the CBC is important for all Canadians. We all remember growing up watching Hockey Night in Canada, and I think that's a part of who we are, and it's important to ensure that we have that funding to encourage independent media, and the Liberal Party stands steadfast with CBC.
Thank you, Mr. Grehal. I'll go to the Green Party next.
Outside of the obvious entertainment aspect that the CBC brings to our lives, they've got incredible programming across the spectrum. They're not just a TV station. They've got several radio stations. They air different kinds of music. They are champions of the arts, and I think what we've seen over the last decade is we've seen a lot of anti-arts sentiment from the current government. So they're shutting down things that they apparently don't feel is important. But arts is part of who we are as people, as creative individuals, and as people who consume the art. And that's highly important to me as an artist as well. So,
if I could just interject, there is one objective where people say that because we are spending so much money at the CBC, should it not sustain itself? Are we artificially pumping it up with things that maybe people aren't watching? There is a conflict there for some people who say that because we as a public are putting money into it, that maybe it should be forced to survive on its own, while others believe that we should be funding it because it's part of who we are. There is that conflict.
There obviously is that conflict, but it comes from a place of not really knowing all the facts. We only fund half of the CBC. The rest of it is funded by ad revenue, and we can encourage the CBC to continue going down that route and invoke or solicit more advertisement money, rather. One of the great things about the CBC, though, is that they can't really be bought. Like, they tell it how it is, whether it's something that's against the Conservatives, the NDP, the Liberals, or the Green Party. They're an important voice, and without it, this country is going to be headed into a very dark place, and I'd rather not go down that route.
Sean Hatton, thank you. And finally, from the NDP, Amarjeet Singha.
Thanks for that question. Being in the media for almost 2 decades myself in here, Toronto, I believe CBC has to be saved. It's not only in the cities, but also it serves all over the country. There's a part of country where only CBC delivers the information our Canadians needed. Liberal Party is talking to saving CBC, but when they were in the government, they had deeper cut in the CBC funding. NDP is there to protect CBC, not only giving them $115 million extra, and also guarantee stable funding so CBC can stay strong and independent. And there's another reason one more thing we particularly need to do is end political interference in board appointments. Let them do the business. If they can run independent, I believe CBC won't need any more fundings in the future. But let the government stay out of CBC business, and they will do well. NDP believes, and that's what I believe.